Hi guys, Louis Dangoor here from WrestleTalk.com and Wrestling Daily, and I'm joined by a very special guest for my final interview, or what will likely be my final interview of 2020. I'm joined by the TNT Champion and someone that I think 2020 has been sort of very like a breakout year for them. So here with Darby Allin. Darby, how you doing?
Howdy.
How's 2020 been for you, man? It must have been crazy, obviously, winning the TNT title, sort of having great matches with Cody, then the later part sort of being in the mix with Sting.
Yeah, I think it's been the best year professionally by far. By far. There's no way you can top it.
Even better than, I guess, last year where you got signed to AEW, or do you think this year's really been the one where you've enjoyed your work the most?
This one's by far there's there's no comparison.
I take it the highlight's got to be Full Gear, getting to win the title off Cody and being the second ever or third ever TNT champion.
Yeah, for sure. That was a huge moment, but something about the interactions with Sting, are just as big because this is writing history here, So if this is somebody's tail end of somebody's career and you have any hand in writing that story, it doesn't get any bigger.
And how was it obviously getting to, I know we were all enjoying it watching from a distance, but how was it getting to see Sting debut, being on the show that you were on as well, in the segment with you when he had that sort of I know he sort of stared down everyone, but the one with you felt a little bit different. It felt like it was a little bit longer. So how was that for you, getting to see him walk out and experience a segment with someone I'm sure you grew up watching and probably idolizing?
It was validation for all the hard work and everything I put into this in the last, 5.5 years. And I know that's not a long time in wrestling, but if people knew all the shit I put into this in the last 5 years, it felt like a lifetime. So that it was surreal, but it was very validating.
And obviously coming out of 2020 and into 2021, what are you hoping for from this storyline that's going on with Sting and Cody involved and Taz's faction? Are you hoping to potentially team with Sting, or are you hoping for a match with him in whatever capacity that is, whether it's maybe something cinematic or something of that nature? What would be your sort of goal for this end game with Sting?
Wherever the wind takes me. I don't know, man. Wherever the wind takes me.
And is that also the same for 2021 as a whole? Have you got any sort of goals, aspirations, anyone you want to work with? Or are you very much just sort of like, whatever happens, happens, I'm going to go with the flow and just do the best I can?
Well, the goal in 2021 is to main event a pay-per-view. That's a goal for me. But as for anything specific, like a match, I just say, give me anybody and I'll make anything work. So.
And I think you have, to be fair. I know you spoke about wanting to main event a pay-per-view, but one of my favorite moments from Dynamite across the whole year was your match with Moxley, your title match. That must have been really cool for you to be involved in someone like him, getting to main event a Dynamite. Talk us through sort of what went on there and your feelings coming out of it.
Yeah, no, whenever you put in the main event, it's like go time. You got to show everybody why you belong in those spots, because just as fast as you get those spots, they can be taken away. So walking through all that stuff, it was a fight. It felt good. So.
And I guess you and Moxley have had quite your journeys in AEW have been linked, as have yourself and Cody, where your first match was against him. You've had several matches against him, and probably your biggest match in AEW, Full Game, biggest win was against him. So who would you say out of those two, I presume it is those two, that you sort of look to as a potential yardstick, as someone to, are they the people you look to and go, I want to be as good as them, if not better?
They're both equally the same in my book. Cody's one was a big deal because I made my debut against him. And so right off the start, it was like, all right, man, here we go. Like, put up or shut up. I always talk this shit on the indies that I belong in a spot like this. So having it, I went 100% that night, and everyone can kiss my ass that never believed in me before. But Moxley is another one. You know, these guys, they're the top of their game. So one's not from the other, or however, but it was just, yeah, they're equally have their own things that make them insane. So.
And I know you're the TNT champion right now, but AEW has, for me, the best tag division in the world. Would potentially a tag run interest you? And if so, who would it be with? Who would you be tagging with? Would it be Moxley or Cody, or could it even be Sting? If you had to choose one partner, say.
I don't know. For a while there, I felt like it was me and Moxley. You know, so anything I can do to get in the ring with FTR, I'm game. Like, you know, whoever it may be, it could be Moxley, but like I said, I'll see where the wind takes me. You know, I would like to do stuff with Sting, you know, but yeah, where I gel wise, I don't know. Me and Moxley kind of had something going there for a little bit. Hell, even me and Cody had something going there like last week. So it's all in the air, man.
And you mentioned obviously FTR there and someone you might want to face. Why those two? Why did you single them out as two guys you'd like to work with?
Because I just like their style and I like their everything, you know. I just want to get in there and do something like that in today's landscape when it's kind of rare to be able to wrestle like that. So it's cool. I want to just get in there and make moments.
So it's all what it's about. 2020 has obviously been a fantastic year for you. When you started the year, did you think you'd be in the position you are now with the year coming to a close, or did you think things would have gone differently?
I didn't even know what to expect. Everything with wrestling is so up and down, up and down, up and down. So I didn't know what to expect, which I think adds to it. Because if someone guarantees you something in the beginning of the year, it's just like knowing, you know, how the movie ends. You know what I mean? I like to be just as much out of the zone until it happens as, you know, anybody else. So yeah, I didn't know what to expect from 2020.
Especially in the with the pandemic coming into it. I don't think anyone saw that one coming. But I mean, for you, as you said, like you were, well, not as you said, but you were. I know this very much a hot person on the free agent market before AEW came around, and I know AEW were interested, and a lot of other places were interested as well. So when push came to shove, why did you make the decision to join AEW? What was it about the promotion, who, let's not forget, hadn't even had a show yet, if I'm not mistaken? You were, or hadn't had Dynamite anyway. What was it about AEW that really pulled you in and you thought, yeah, this is where I want to be?
There wasn't much of a fight. Like, there wasn't much of anything. I knew right away that's where I wanted to be. I don't care if there wasn't a Dynamite or anything like that. When I hear the words creative freedom and being in control of your own destiny, I'm on board, because I ain't playing nobody's shit with controlling me. You know, it's the reason I dropped out of film school. It's the reason I quit numerous jobs. You start controlling me, I'm gone. So, and that's not to be an asshole. That's not like I'm a team player. The thing is, I'll be the best team player if you let me be me. You know, I'm really easy to get along with, but you just gotta let me be me. So there was no arguments where I was going. I wanted that AEW, and that's it.
And you spoke about creative freedom. We've seen on Dynamite, you do some great sort of like, I wouldn't know how to describe them, but they feel like, you mentioned dropping out of film school, but they feel like productions on that level, I guess, the sort of vignettes and segments that you've had. Have they been all from you then, I presume? You having the creative freedom to go, I want to do this, I want to do that, this is what I want.
It's literally just me and my friend Max Yoder, who films skate videos. It's a 2-man squad. It's just us. There's not a 20-man production unit with those things. It's just us, and it's beauty like that. I wouldn't have been any different. You know, I like to travel very small in packs, and you know, whenever you have a bunch of people around and you're trying to express your art, it kind of might mess with the flow, so I keep it small.
And I know, obviously, you some of yours have been, well, a lot of them have been involving skateboarding. Obviously, Tony Hawk's new game came out this year, or reboot the old game, and I think there was a little bit, not talk, but I guess fantasy sort of hoping that you'd be a downloadable character in the Tony Hawk new game. Was that something that interested you being involved in, or was it not something you really thought about?
It'd be sick, don't get me wrong, but at the same time, the skaters in that game have put their bodies on the line and perfected their craft for years and years. So I wouldn't want to jump in there and take anybody's spotlight, you know what I mean? So, but if it was offered, I'd definitely be interested.
And I guess while that isn't something that might happen, might not, but obviously AEW Games was announced earlier this year with obviously the video game launching and a whole host of other stuff. That must be really cool for you to be able to sit there and be like, I'm going to be in a video game. Has it sunk in yet, or do you not think you'll be able to? I'm not sure if you do play those sort of games, or do you not think it'll be able to sink in until you've actually got the controller and you are playing as yourself?
I don't know. I don't think I've ever stopped and smelled the roses ever. So who knows, man? It's a bridge I'll cross when I get there. You know, same with the toys that came out. You know, I want to. You know, it's exciting, but as soon as you get them and you can see, you know, it's another validation for the hard work. You know, so because my mind is still running up this mountain and trying to prove a lot of people wrong, so I don't have time to stop and smell the roses as much as I would love to.
And I guess one time that you did prove obviously a lot of people wrong, and you mentioned it earlier, was that win over Cody at Full Gear. What was that for you, that obviously when you heard that was the plan, that you were going to beat him, and then when you actually did? And I don't want to put a dampener on it, but was it a touch disappointing for you that obviously you couldn't have a full Daily's place there, or a full wherever the show was scheduled to be held? Is it a touch disappointing that you couldn't have everyone there to celebrate? Because I mean, for you, I think, and I hope you don't mind me saying this, I think you're a real fan favorite and someone that a lot of people can relate to when they're watching. So I think it would have been great for the fans to be able to share in that.
Yeah, I think that, you know, with everybody with this year, you know, all the debuts, all the historical matches, the fact that there was no fans, of course, that's disappointing. But at the end of the day, you got to do what you got to do. And I know there's a lot of people watching at home. So, you know, and just the fan support online is just as strong, you know what I mean, as it. So, yeah, that was a huge moment there. I just didn't ask if I was a winner or not all week. I just, you know what I mean?
Did you have a feeling?
Yeah, but at the same time, with wrestling, you never know.
Yeah.
So you never know what to expect. So
when was it that you actually found out?
I would say probably the day before. Yeah, I'd say it was like the day before. You know what I mean? We were taking photos and stuff like that. So I had to get my championship photos. So
That must have been, did it feel weird holding the title when you hadn't won the title yet? Or did you feel like, oh, you'd done enough to deserve that title anyway?
No, in my mind, I was right where I needed to be. You know, it's like now the hard part is showing that you belong with the title. Winning, it's one thing, but making people believe that you are the guy that should be walking around with that thing is a whole new part. So holding the championship, all I can think about is this match has to deliver. And outside of that, I have to keep people intrigued with what the hell's going on, so that TNT Championship is valuable as it was before.
Yeah, and I guess for you, as I've said to you, 2020 has been a real great year for you. Who in 2021 do you think has the potential on an AEW's roster for it to be a breakout year? Someone that maybe we're not seeing a lot of, or we're starting to hear things about, but we haven't really seen on Dynamite that often. Who do you think 2021 is going to be about for AEW?
As much as I hate to say it, I'd say Ricky Starks. I see a lot of myself in him, and he sees a lot of himself in me. The drive, you don't have to, it's not pulling teeth to have us go off and do vignettes and promos and stuff like that. And I know he's been working on a lot of stuff. And as much as you disagree with somebody, to see the drive, you got to respect that. And I don't care how different we view things. When you have a company like AEW, you just want people to have that drive. So I'd say
awesome.
Ricky.
And you mentioned earlier, obviously, wanting people to believe in you and things like that. So I've asked you this before. I don't know if you remember a Progress show in the UK before AEW had launched. But I asked you who Darby Allin is, why people should be invested in what you do. So for those that didn't hear that, sort of give us a synopsis of who Darby Allin is and why we should care about what you're doing and the content you're putting out there.
I'm going to give an updated version for 2020 since a lot of shit's happened since then. I would say Darby Allin is somebody who's made it to the top of his game as himself. He never had to change who he was. He never had to fit someone else's mold. I never had wrestling gear. I never did anything that wasn't me. So if you want to see somebody make it 100% themselves without being a puppet, I would say you're looking at them. So
it's awesome.
Yeah.
Very good to hear. But before I let you go, because you've been very generous with your time, can we do some quick fire questions?
Go for it.
Perfect. So who is your favorite wrestler of all time? Someone that you've watched and just really admired and I guess took inspiration from?
See, it changes, man. It changes. Lately, I've been really into like the technical aspect of things, just watching old Guerrero, Malenko clips, everything meant something. Every movement meant something. So that's a toss-up in the air of all time. I don't know. But those are two people that,
And how about favorite match? Would it be one of the Guerrero Malenko stuff?
See, like that's another thing, man. It changes monthly. There wasn't a specific match where I'm like, this is by far the greatest match of all time. It changes, man. It depends on what mood you're in.
So how about, for example, say I said to you, listen, I'm not a wrestling fan. Can you get me into wrestling with a match? Or show me a match that sums up why you love wrestling. Is there a particular one that springs to mind? Because often it isn't one that people, when I ask people this, it isn't one of their favorite matches. It's one that potentially they just think is good for a neutral or someone that doesn't really understand wrestling that much. So have you got one that comes to mind, or is it another one that probably there's too many options for to answer?
I would have to say, I know it sounds like crazy, but I would have to say something along the lines of Mick Foley, anything with his matches, just because it's so opposite from like what I just said about Dean Malenko. But I feel with like my skate friends, whenever you put on something along those lines, they're like, oh, this is fucking sick. Let's check it out. But I would say like a Mick Foley match or something like crazy, awesome. Just to get people like, oh, this wasn't fake. So,
and for you, obviously, you mentioned wanting to main event a pay-per-view. If I said to you, listen, you've got the book for the show, you can main event Revolution next year, and you get to choose your match. Who is it that you'd choose to wrestle?
Sting.
Simple. And obviously, with him, and has been some talk of maybe cinematic matches. Would it be a sort of a straight wrestling match, or would you want to maybe do something sort of cinematic and out there?
I'm dying. Hold on.
If you want to get some water, feel free.
This might be my demise right here. I would say, dude, I'm down. As I told people, I haven't done a cinematic match yet, but I guarantee you, if I'm in a cinematic, it's going to be the craziest shit you've ever seen. So for that aspect, I would say I'm up for a cinematic match. It would be something, I've never done it, but you've seen what I'm willing to do in my promos. I ran over my friend with a car a month ago.
Brilliant. And final question before I let you go and hopefully get some water and recover. What is your sort of unpopular wrestling opinion, I guess? Something that you feel passionately about that isn't shared by the majority of the people, perhaps?
I don't know, man. I would say just treat this, when you're on a national level broadcast, treat it with the respect it deserves. Don't treat it like a clubhouse. Don't treat it like a hangout session like a lot of people do. Because there's people in line that would love to take your spot. So be grateful and do all the hard work, because I think a lot of people lose focus of that. And, it bums me out when I see it be treated more like a club atmosphere than an actual professional wrestling company that, I just want, high school's fucking over. So.
Yeah. Listen, Darby, you've been so generous for your time. I really appreciate that. And obviously, if people want to check out what you've got going on, it's AEW Dynamite every Wednesday on TNT in the States, and obviously on the Fight Network app over here, or Fight TV app over here in the UK, and obviously AEW Dark every Tuesday. Where can people find you if they want to keep up to date with what you've got going on social media or anything like that, or any sort of stores you want to plug? Go on, give us the plugs.
I'd say Darby Allin on everything. I don't know. And check out Spinebuster merch. It's my clothing company. So
awesome. That was the most quick and seamless plugs I've ever seen. So I appreciate that. Thank you very much, Darby. And hopefully you stay safe and we get to catch up with you in 2021 where you're still hopefully the TNT champion.
Yeah, I'm on.